she has seemingly pretty good policies, but I'm very skeptical of her for obvious reasons.
Keep it 100, I be feeling like Campbell soup over white rice, baked chicken with the skin on, yeah. Lowry's with black pepper, I'm fully seasoned with laughter.
It's nearing the end of New York City mayoral primaries. The election date is June 22nd, and there's about 9,734.2 candidates. And one of them scored a pretty big endorsement today by AOC. So the candidate that AOC endorsed, along with Jamal Bowman, her name is Wiley. So I honestly didn't know much about her, so I took some time to look into her. And the two most important things for a candidate when it comes to me, the only things I really care about, well, three. I care about the candidate's record, I care about the candidate's policies that they support, and I care about the money that they're taking, who are they taking it from. So first I looked into Wiley's policies, and there was a lot that I agreed with and I really like. So she has a New Deal program that creates 100,000 new jobs, including a $100 billion infrastructure repair program that addresses climate change and includes a space for artists, allows artists to get jobs and have studio time. So part of that New Deal program is called Universal Community Care, which diverts $300 million from police budgets to give to 100,000 needy families, high-need families, a $5K stipend to pay for childcare and elder care, which is very important because those people do important work and quite often don't get paid for it. Another policy that she advocates for that I really support is the gun violence prevention program. And the way she deals with addressing the gun violence is the way gun violence should be addressed, going at its cause, which is addressing poverty instead of just waiting until it happens and then punish perpetrators after it happens. She's trying to prevent gun violence from occurring in the first place by offering more job opportunities to youth who need it, because people often turn to violence when they don't have enough opportunities. So she's looking to address that by assuring that youth have job programs and other programs that they can do after school rather than, joining a gang potentially. So with this program, she plans to increase youth employment and further reallocating $1 billion from the NYPD budget to create programs for communities that are impacted by gun violence. So speaking of the police, she advocates for a program to transform the police by having a police oversight board that addresses police violence and removes the NYPD from managing mental health crises. So just in case a lot of you didn't catch that, diverting some funds from the police budget into education, no longer having the police handling mental health crisis. That's part of the defund. That's what the defund the police movement is, and a lot of people support that. In fact, 63% of Americans supports the provisions that would be included in the defund the police bill, but just the name is what gets to people. A lot of times people would see the name of something and it instantly turns them off. Defund the police is one of those issues. Only 18% of people support the program when it's named as it's defund the police. But the provisions in defund the police is supported by 63% of the country. So the left needs to really consider changing that slogan because it doesn't work. Something that's unpopular in terms of the provisions is right to work. Right to work, on average, workers pay. It's a union busting bill where workers pay on average is 12% less in right to work states. But right to work is supported by many people because of its name. Naming and framing is very important. So she has a whole lot of policies on her website. I read through the entire thing and I agree with the vast majority of it. And I'm gonna leave it linked in the description. You can read through the entire thing if you like. So like I said, I didn't really know anything about her, so I researched as much as I could about her. And I found some things that's pretty troubling. One of those things I found pretty troubling was some of the things she said about Bernie Sanders and Bernie Sanders supporters. So I want you to take a look at some of these tweets. Now I want to be clear, it's okay to be critical of anyone. It's okay to be critical of Bernie Sanders. I've been critical of Bernie Sanders. But I think it's important that when you're critical of someone, to have fair criticism. And I feel many of her criticisms of Bernie Sanders and his supporters was complete nonsense and unfair. So I want you to take a look at some of these tweets. So she tweeted this on January 19th, 2020. And it's an op-ed by NBC News. And the title says, Bernie Bro Mob never went away after 2016. Just ask their victims. And she tweets, I wish I could say I haven't seen this on the left. I'm progressive and believe in change, and how we get there matters too. The ugliness isn't from a majority, but it's undermining Trump's MAGA supporters, and Twitter Bernie bros have this ugly tactic in common. So I would say that tweet is complete nonsense because Bernie bros isn't a thing. This whole Bernie bro narrative is supposedly a bunch of white males that support Bernie Sanders that's just like Trump supporters in some way. It's complete nonsense. And this Bernie bro narrative, they say, oh, it's people being vicious, attacking people online. You're kidding me, right? Have you seen Hillary supporters who attack everyone who isn't in favor of Hillary Clinton for whatever reason? Or how about Kamala Harris supporters or Joe Biden supporters? So I say all that to say people are just vicious online. It's not a Bernie Sanders thing. It's not a Donald Trump thing. People who love politicians for whatever reason, no one should love a politician. Politicians are public servants that's supposed to serve the people. But when they don't, everyone should be critical of them. But people act like members of cults for whatever reason. So there's no such thing as Bernie bros. And I don't know if many of you remember, but there was Obama boys back in 2008. If you supported Obama, you were an Obama boy, according to Hillary Clinton and her supporters. And you remember the whole Puma group? What did Puma stand for again? I forgot what Puma stood for, but it was Hillary Clinton supporters who refused. They chose to vote for John McCain over Barack Obama because they were mad that Hillary lost. So that whole Bernie bro narrative, the reason why Donald Trump won is because of Bernie Sanders supporters, complete nonsense. 25% of Hillary supporters ended up voting for John McCain in the 2008 election. And Barack Obama won massively. 12% of Bernie supporters decided to vote for Trump. Now, I don't agree with those people, but it's still less than half of Hillary supporters that voted for McCain. And Obama still won. Hillary lost because she is a terrible candidate. So I got completely off track, but I just had to say that. That tweet's complete nonsense. Next tweet. This was tweeted on February 7, 2020. South Carolina GOP asking people to vote for Bernie Sanders. Republican urging GOP voters to vote for Sanders in the South Carolina primary. So she's trying to use that as a smear, saying, oh, if Republicans are saying vote for Bernie Sanders, then he has to be terrible. So here's why Republicans were saying vote for Bernie Sanders. Because the Republicans in Congress are complete idiots. They believe that they had a much better chance of being Bernie Sanders than the typical Democrat. Bernie Sanders, who was the most popular politician in the country. Because they thought that they say, oh, he's a socialist. Everyone would just say, oh, no, I can't vote for a socialist. And they would all vote for the Republicans. That's what the Republicans thought. Not because Bernie Sanders doesn't have ideas that's supported by the vast majority of American people. Not because it has nothing to do with him being terrible like the Republicans. But that's why she tweeted that. Next tweet. As a progressive black woman, I have been drawn to Elizabeth Warren over Bernie Sanders for the leadership qualities coupled with honesty and passion. Foolishness. And her policies, thanks to Kamala Harris and others, recognize the needs of the black community. Just saying. So that tweet really gets to me because she packs such a large amount of foolishness in such a small space. What is it, Twitter? 280 characters? I don't have Twitter, so I don't know, but I think they upgraded from 140 to 280. But first she says she chose Elizabeth Warren over Bernie Sanders because she can be trusted. When everyone knows Elizabeth Warren is a snake who doesn't really believe anything. She chose not to back Bernie Sanders, and she chose not to drop out on Super Tuesday, which cost Bernie Sanders the election, because she thought that she could end up one day becoming Joe Biden's vice president, which was a stupid calculation. And then next, thanking Kamala Harris, because Kamala Harris and Elizabeth Warren somehow look out for the needs of the black community. Kamala Harris, who was a cop in California, who said she would throw parents in jail for their kids' truancy, while allowing Steve Mnuchin, who worked in Donald Trump's cabinet, to go free. So she's going to throw poor black mothers in prison, looking out for the black community, while refusing to arrest a rich white guy who evicted poor black people from their homes illegally. Her own office said go after her, and she refused to. But she went after poor black mothers. But she looks out for the black community, according to Wiley. Next tweet. Bernie Sanders said his position is the same as Obama, giving Biden another opportunity to show he came out to play tonight by sternly and vigorously saying Obama never said anything nice about Castro regime. #ThemDebate. So what she's referring to is Bernie Sanders during the Democratic debate. He said something like, you know what, I'll read the exact quote so you can know exactly what Bernie Sanders said during the Democratic debates. Bernie Sanders said about Fidel Castro, we're very opposed to the authoritarian nature of Cuba, but, it's unfair to simply say everything is bad, When Fidel Castro came into office, you know what he did? He had a massive literacy program. Is that a bad thing? Even though Fidel Castro did it? So she pointed out that Joe Biden said that Obama never said anything positive about Fidel Castro during the debate, which was an absolute lie. In fact, I'm not even going to read the quote of what Obama said about Fidel Castro. I'm going to play the video so you see she's completely BSing, and Joe Biden is BSing back then as well. So take a look at this video.
And I said this to President Castro in Cuba. I said, look, you've made great progress in educating young people. Every child in Cuba gets a basic education. That's a huge improvement from where it was. Medical care. The life expectancy of Cubans is equivalent to the United States, despite it being a very poor country, because they have access to health care. That's a huge achievement. They should be congratulated.
So I'm going to read one more tweet before I wrap up this video. So on April 8th, 2020, she tweeted, "Make no mistake, Bernie Sanders and the many who supported his campaign have had a big impact on the Democratic Party by pushing for universal health care, corporate accountability, and more." And she quotes, "Sanders drops out of the presidential race. Election 2020, NBC News Politics 2020. So after saying a whole lot of foolishness, propaganda, BS about Bernie Sanders, she says, oh, him and his supporters, they're so great now they dropped out to endorse Joe Biden. So that's who she is. She has seemingly pretty good policies, but I'm very skeptical of her for obvious reasons. So as of right now, Eric Adams is in the lead for the New York City mayoral race. And he's absolutely terrible and atrocious. Andrew Yang fell off massively after he was revealed to be a pro-genocidal maniac. Funny thing is, Eric Adams is as well, but the timing for Andrew Yang really crushed him, which is great. Andrew Yang, I have many other issues with Yang, other than him just being a pro-genocidal maniac. But I'm happy that's what took him down. But Eric Adams in particular, he's particularly terrible because not only is he a pro-genocidal maniac just like Andrew Yang, he's also a cop. He's also a cop. So during the 2020 Democratic primary, Kamala Harris, she was criticized by many people for being a top cop in California during her time when she was a prosecutor. When she would prosecute poor people and not the rich. So Eric Adams is the exact same thing, except he's a black man in New York City. They're no different. So people really need to pay attention to that when it comes to Eric Adams, because he's no different than Kamala Harris. And that being said, another thing about Eric Adams that most people don't realize, he was a former Brooklyn borough president. And he doesn't know the cost of a median home in Brooklyn. When asked about the cost of the median home in Brooklyn, he said it's about $550,000. The actual price of the median home in Brooklyn is $900,000. He was way off. To be fair, Mayoral Wiley, she was way off as well, but at least she overestimated the cost. She thought it was $1.8 million for the median price of a home in Brooklyn. Andrew Yang, ironically, was the only person who was correct. It's about $900K for the median home in Brooklyn. But Eric Adams was the Brooklyn borough president, and he didn't know the median price of a home in Brooklyn. That's inexcusable. And y'all want him to be mayor? Why the hell is he leading? Complete foolishness. So I say all that to say she's better than Eric Adams, because Eric Adams is a complete train wreck. He's terrible. But I'm very skeptical of her. Very skeptical of her. So that's all I gotta say for this video. If you like the content, like and subscribe to the channel, turn on the post notifications so you know I post videos in the future. But I gotta leave you with one more thing before the video's over, and that's the word of the day. The word of the day for today is skeptical. Skeptical is spelled S-K-E-P-T-I-C-A-L. The definition of skeptical is not easily convinced, having doubts or reservations. Now I will attempt to use skeptical in a sentence. Mayoral Wiley, she seems decent as a candidate, but because of some of her past statements, I am very skeptical of her. Hopefully I use that sentence correctly. So again, if you like the content, like and subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you know I post videos in the future, because YouTube will not share my videos unless you do so. And use skeptical in the comment section below in the sentence so I know you watch the video to the end, and tell me if you're skeptical of her as well. Do I have anything else to say? Yes, I have a Patreon account. So if you want to help the channel grow, I really appreciate it. You can donate anywhere between $3 to $10 a month. It would help me massively. You can donate to my Patreon. I'm gonna leave it in a link in the description below. It's patreon.com/keepit100dre. Anything would be very much appreciated if you can help. Do I have anything else to say? Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Watch my George Floyd documentary. It's very informative. It speaks about the system that allowed George Floyd to be murdered, and just how much we have to go before progress is actually made and before we can actually see justice. So I'm gonna leave that on the end screen. Anything else to say? No, I think that's about it. So I appreciate you watching my videos. 100%. Peace.
But once again, today is a crucial moment. We cannot afford to sit on the sidelines. We can't afford to not engage because of what could have been, right? We engage in the world that we have, and we do everything we can to make that world better. We have a choice to make New York City better. We have a choice that is clearly better than privatizing our school system and allowing housing to be built only for the wealthiest people. We have an option of a candidate who can center people, racial justice, economic justice, and climate justice, that didn't just come up to run for mayor, but has experience and has a lifetime of dedication to this. And that candidate is Wiley.
Well, I've been stacking up. Nah, really, that ain't accurate, cause I just spent my whole damn advance in the past couple months just to compensate for times we ain't have enough. Ooh.